Hello there, Doug O here, your success accelerator, and I want to talk to you today about something that keeps many people stuck as if they were frozen, unable to move forward. That's right. That is that little thing called fear. Well, something you need to know about fear. What is it? Well, it's an emotional and a physical response to a perceived threat. You see, it's a basic survival mechanism. Without fear, our species would not survive. All right, it is a survival mechanism, and it's triggered by an external event. Now, here's the deal: that external event may be real, or for many cases, imagined. The body will kick into flight or fight mode, and I'm going to show you some of the things that happens to your body when that happens. Here's the deal, though. Fear is almost entirely autonomic, which could also mean automatic. All right, you don't even consciously trigger this or even know that it's going on until it's gone through its entire course. So there are two types that you want to become aware of. The first one is something that's an external fear that's caused by something you're very motivated to avoid. For example, a lot of people are afraid of spiders. Or it could be an internal fear that caused by something outside of you that's linked to a negative emotion. So a fear that was developed out of low self-esteem. You don't feel very good about yourself, so therefore you have a fear of perhaps meeting other people. You need to know that fear causes a stress in your body. Heart rate and your blood pressure increase when you get kicked into that fight or flight mode. Pupils dilate to take in as much light as possible. Your body sends more blood to your major muscle groups, and because the veins in your skin constrict, that's why you sometimes get that chill. The blood sugar in your blood goes up, muscles get tense, cause goosebumps. Non-essential systems like digestion and immune, and that means non-essential to getting the heck out of Dodge, they shut down so that you have more energy for emergency functions. And then you have trouble focusing on small tasks because your brain is being directed to focus on the big picture to find out where's the threat coming from. Here's the challenge, though. A lot of people, they're constantly afraid of different things, and they're always in stress mode. When they're always in stress mode, unable to differentiate from, am I about to be eaten by a wild animal, or am I okay? They're unable to differentiate from that or decide that they're okay. They get stuck in this fight or flight mode, which is stressing out their body and literally causes burnout. So what can you do about this? Well, you need to know that fear, it's normal, all right? It's needed to survive. So it's not a bad thing in and of itself. However, living with chronic fear can be, and most often is, both physically and emotionally debilitating. It just wears you down. And having to live with an impaired immune response and high blood pressure that results from that causes illness. Over 80% of primary care physicians, doctor office visits are caused by stress, people that don't know how to relax. And when you refuse to participate in daily activities, going out and doing the things you need to do, just because you might be confronted with something you fear, doesn't make for a very fulfilling life, does it? So what do you do about it? Well, know this: fear can be mastered. Most fears are learned. That's right, you learned to be afraid. It's called a conditioned response. When this happens, this is the response. And because you learned to be afraid, well, then you can be unlearning how to be afraid, all right? Fear can be unlearned by creating a new conditioned response that is opposite, that counters the original fear. How? Well, you've heard by exposing yourself to the fear. Feel that fear and do it anyway. Experience it to fully make it vanish. All right, and how would that work? Well, for example, people that are afraid of snakes, they'll be exposing themselves to snakes. Maybe they might get within 20 feet of a snake and see that nothing happens. Then they might get within 10 feet, and then 5 feet, and then 1 foot. And then they might be able to stand next to a snake and then actually touch a snake, and then hold a snake. And eventually that fear will go away. Fear of heights, jumping out of airplanes. Fear of people, standing in front of a person and talking to them. Each fear is handled in a bit different way. And yet, once you actually go do the thing that you're afraid to do, within reason, you're not going to stick your hand into a fire to make yourself unafraid of fire. And yet, once you unlearn that, well, then you can be free to live your life moving forward. You can also use the switch for success to de-link the fear of many things, especially those internal fears. So here's another fear eliminator I learned from my good friend Dov Baron. He calls it staying here while your mind is someplace else. You see, fear is imagining what could happen in certain circumstances. And so what he taught us to do is to just take a deep breath. When you realize that something's going on and you're feeling that fear, take a deep breath and then just ask yourself, is there anything to fear right now? When you ask yourself that question, it's like, wow, not really. Okay, let's move forward and get this done. All right, so if you have any questions, make sure to contact us and feel that fear, do it anyway, get out there, make it happen, and I'll see you at the top.